All right, good morning, everybody. Let's start with introductions. Here in this room, my name is Ivan Garcia. I'm the programming manager here at BCAG.
Jim Day from Local Assistance, Caltrans.
Hold on. All right, other people are joining us. Ashley, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, good morning. Ashley Stanley with the Town of Paradise.
And on my screen, I see Chris next to us.
Hey, Chris Devine, Planning Manager for BCAG.
Jason?
Hi, Jason Manley, Air Quality Planner with Butte County Air Quality Management District.
Thanks for joining us, Jason. I know the timing hasn't really worked out with conflicts with the Air District and us, so thanks for joining us. Leanne.
Hi. Sorry, I have phone calls and emails and stuff coming in, so I was trying to answer a few things real quick. My name is Leanne Sutton, City of Chico, Director of Engineering. Nice to meet everybody.
For being here. Terry.
Terry Edwards, Butte County Public Works.
Mark.
Good morning, everybody. Mark Maddox, Public Works, Town of Paradise.
Thanks. Angel.
Good morning, everybody. Angel Ariza, Local Assistance.
All right, good morning. Don.
Good morning, Dawn Evers, City of Warville, Community Development.
Thanks for joining us. Louis.
Lewis Johnson, Butte County Public Works.
Thanks for being here. And to finish us off, we got Lee.
Hi, good morning. This is Sue Lee with Butte County Public Health.
Oh, thanks for joining us. Is Eunice or Jody joining us? Do you know?
I think so. They're probably just running a few minutes late.
That's okay. All right, let's get going on the agenda. First item is item number 3. Any comments or corrections for the meeting of April 7th? Seeing none, I'll take them as accepted. We're going to have Chris Devine start us off first with the North Valley Passenger Rail Strategic Plan. He'll be sharing a PowerPoint presentation. Chris, there you go.
Great. Good morning, everybody. Can you see that on your screen okay?
I can. Everybody else, yeah? I'm seeing thumbs up.
Looks good.
How do I get this off here? There we go. Does that look good to everybody?
Yeah,
Yvonne, that look
full
good?
screen.
Yep, thank
Full
you.
screen. Thanks.
Good deal. Okay. Yeah, good morning, everybody. Again, Chris Devine, Planning Manager here at BCAG. We just want to give you an update on a study that we're working on, the North Valley Passenger Rail Strategic Plan. And I know some of you are pretty involved with this study already, serving on the project development team. So you'll be familiar with most of this information, but we just thought we'd take the opportunity here at the TAC meeting to kind of bring everybody up to speed on where we're at with this study. So just real quick, a quick overview of the presentation. We've got about 20 or so slides to go through. Just give you a quick background on the study, and then kind of go through the scope and schedule, the nuts and bolts, and then touch on the initial planning assumptions, which we kind of wrapped up recently, and then give you a little overview of the public outreach process and then next steps with the study. So in terms of project background, yeah, we're looking at seeing what it takes to extend passenger rail service northward from the Sacramento area up into Butte County. We'll be looking at extending existing passenger rail service through the Altamont Corridor Express trains and also the Amtrak San Joaquin trains. There's currently those services go as far north as Stockton, but the San Joaquin Regional Rail Commission and San Joaquin Joint Powers Authority, the two entities that manage and operate those two passenger rail services, are in the process of extending northward to Natomas. They're going to be putting a new station in Natomas. That's already underway. They expect that to go online in 2024. And so we're going to be looking at sort of building on what they've done in, with the Valley Rail program, and look at how we can extend those services northward. And we're looking at primarily coming up to Chico. We're looking at Oroville as kind of a backup and alternate route in case coming up to Chico doesn't work. And obviously a big benefit of bringing the rail northward into Butte County is it connects us to the growing passenger rail network in the state. As you can see, we'll be tied in with the San Joaquins and the ACE system, and then also the high-speed rail station, the interim station that's going to be in Merced. And so a lot of opportunities there to both use the system to commute between Chico and Marysville, or Chico and Sacramento, or Marysville and Sacramento, but then also to continue on to points in the Bay Area or down in the San Joaquin Valley. And you could even connect down to Los Angeles if you use some of the Amtrak thruway buses. So just quickly, project status. Last fall, we completed a request for proposals after receiving a Caltrans grant for $500,000, and we retained AECom with the subconsultant AIM Consulting for the public outreach. AECom has worked very closely with the folks in the San Joaquin Valley on the ACE and the San Joaquin services, and particularly on their Valley Rail project to extend northward to Natomas. So it was a perfect fit for this study. We were able to hit the ground running. In January 2022, we had our project kickoff meeting. Well, the San Joaquin Regional Rail Commission, JPA folks are partners with us on the study. We're going every step of the way with them. And so we had a kickoff meeting with them and also our consultant team in January. Just did the usual, refining the scope and the schedule, and really just initiated work on the study. Started putting together a list of folks for the project development team, and also initial stakeholder contact list. And then in February and March, we initiated work on the initial planning assumptions. And these are what's going to be needed for Caltrans, Division of Rail and Mass Transportation, and also Union Pacific Railroad to run different analyses to determine how putting passenger trains on their tracks will affect the existing freight service and things like that. So we looked at potential station locations. We looked at light maintenance facility locations and layover facility locations, and then looked at initial service levels, configurations, a basic schedule, and a consideration of how the buses and their schedules will interact with the stations in the schedule. I'll have more detail on that in a minute. We also held project development team meeting number 1, and the project development team is basically comprised of city and county folks within the study area, also Sacramento area council of governments, transit agencies such as Yuba Sutter Transit. And the main purpose of that PDT meeting was to review the initial planning assumptions with them and get everyone's feedback. And so then in April last month, we completed the initial planning assumptions to start the work with Caltrans to do the modeling. So we got that completed. Quickly, just going to touch on the scope and schedule. As you can see, the project initiated in January of this year, and we're looking to wrap up sometime towards July, August of 2023. And we've got 5 main tasks kind of shown on the left: project initiation and management, which is sort of the meetings. Task 2 is public outreach. The bulk of the public outreach we see kind of happening this summer once we get feedback from Caltrans and Union Pacific on their analysis on what will and won't work. Particularly going to be important is the analysis that Union Pacific Railroad is going to do. Initially, we thought they were going to be running their RTC modeling. It looks like they're going to do something a little different and give us kind of some separate analysis from that, letting us know the types of improvements that we can expect, the scale, the locations, without getting as detailed as the RTC modeling. Yeah, so we figure we're going to do public workshops once we have that information back from UP, just so we don't want to go out to the public with a bunch of ideas that won't work for UP. We want to hear from them first. So task 3 is strategic plan development, which is kind of the bulk of the development of the plan. You can see initial services or initial service and operations planning, we've completed. So now we're moving on to the rail network operations modeling, which will take us through June and July with Union Pacific Railroad, and then we'll follow up with developing the rest of the steps of the plan. Down at the bottom under task 3 is the funding and financing plan. I just point that out as being kind of a key component of the plan, just so we'll have an estimate of the costs of all of the capital projects that'll be needed in order to bring those passenger rail trains up here, such as, developing secondary track, the cost for the stations, any other improvements that UP may require. And then the financing plan will identify a strategy for how to finance that, which will likely be through a combination of state and federal grants, working with SACOG on their end as well, and then our federal lobbyists to bring in funding. So I'll just move on from there. Any questions on the scope and schedule? I guess I can pause if anybody has any questions on that. So in terms of the initial planning assumptions, this is what we've been working on, like I mentioned earlier this year. Yeah, that was weird. I took these slides from our consultants. I think they've got, okay. Anyhow, yeah, this is probably a confusing diagram if you're not used to looking at these, but up at the top, it shows this is sort of the Chico option and not looking at Oroville, but shows that we'd basically be looking as an initial service of establishing 4 trains per day coming up to Chico. 3 of them would be ACE trains and 1 would be San Joaquin's. And on the right, it sort of indicates, the locations of the stations where they would terminate. So 2 would be, 1 would be coming from, I can't see that. From the San Joaquin Street station, which, if you can see my cursor, is here. So the other would be coming from, that's supposed to say Union City, not San Union City. Sorry about that. Would be originating down here, and then the other 2 would be down at the Merced high-speed rail terminal. And so, yeah, looking initially at 4 trains per day. We may start with 2 just to get that service initiated. We're not sure, but these are the things that Caltrans is going to be looking at when they run their modeling. And so, in terms of rail stations that we're looking at for the Chico option. We have 2 different sites that we're looking at. And back in February and March, we went out and we met with planning and public works folks, city managers at each of these potential station locations and had them give us input and kind of discuss the locations. So for Chico, we're looking at the downtown existing Amtrak station. And then we're also considering a new development that's going to go in down here at the Barber Yard location. And they both kind of have pros and cons. The Barber Yard location is looking like it's probably going to be preferable because we can get some parking in there with that new development. And there's also the potential of holding of locating the layover maintenance facility on site there. Whereas if we go with the downtown Chico option, the layover maintenance facility is going to have to be up to the north. And I can touch on that again in a minute. So we're sort of between these 2 locations. We haven't settled on one yet. Sorry,
no, we're just saying how if you were in downtown, you'd probably be subject to blocking traffic.
Yeah, that's one of the problems. That's one of the problems that we noted when we were down there is the trains are pretty long that we're going to have to be bringing up here. And so potentially be blocking a street. And then for the train to change directions and head back down south, it takes 15 minutes for UP to sort of clear the trains to be able to do that. So, they'd be sitting there for quite a while, which is a disadvantage. Whereas the Barber Yard location, we wouldn't run into that blocking traffic issue. So yeah, it's kind of tough. You want sort of to combine them together and have that downtown option work because it's location wise, it's great, but yeah, the Barber Yard may end up being the preferred site there. And a lot of the decision on that's going to come from UP. The Barber Yard facility has probably like 6 different tracks next to each other there. There's a big right of way that UP has, and we would need to acquire some of that right of way from them. And so we need to have some discussions with them on that. And so that's kind of why we're still keeping these 2 options in play. And then moving down the line, moving over to the Oroville option, we met over there with planning staff from Oroville, and we looked at the old Amtrak station, which is up here. It's kind of a cool historic train depot. But there's a bunch of issues with that makes it untenable, primarily that it's on a curve on the track, and UP is no longer okay with having passenger rail stations on curves. So there'd be a number of improvements we'd have to do in order to make that work. And so it was kind of the group's consensus when we were out there that this location just south of 162 is preferable. It's on a straight tangent line on the track. There's a good amount of space for parking and other things. And so if we are to go to Oroville, that would be the most likely location for the station, or that would be the location. And the decision between Chico and Oroville is going to kind of come down to UP. I think, from a planning perspective, the Chico location makes the most sense. It's a big population center. It's got the university with 17,000 students. We're going to try to make that work. But if there's something about that line that doesn't work for UP to run those passenger rail trains on, we're going to have Oroville as a backup. So either way, we'll be having rail service to Butte County. It's just sort of a matter of which of the 2. So if we do take the Chico line coming south from Chico, we are anticipating a station in Gridley. This would be strategic in that it would provide a connection for folks in Oroville to get fairly easily.
A lot of Ponderosa, we don't have any.
And the site that we're looking at is just south of Magnolia Street. There's some really neat old brick buildings there right next to the rail line. That
Hold on, Chris. If you're not presenting, can you please mute yourself?
Yeah.
I hear somebody talking about Ponderosa. Thank you.
Yeah, so this site south of Magnolia Street is kind of the preferred site. We did look at the FEMA site to the south as another potential option, but just wasn't as well located, and the site kind of closer to downtown worked fine. The trains wouldn't be blocking any roads. It seemed like a perfect site, so that's a likely location there. And then we went down to Marysville as well, met with the city manager and the community development director there. We looked at 3 different sites, including the existing depot, which is right here. And there was a bunch of issues with that again, it being on the curve and having to add secondary track across this bridge and having to widen the bridge. And so the station site between 5th and 10th Street really looked perfect. Similar to Gridley, there's a historic kind of cool brick building like right next to the tracks that you could have kind of become part of the depot there. And so that would be the preferred location there based on the analysis that we did with the consultant team and the folks from the city of Marysville. And then south of Marysville at Plumas Lake, we identified a site there as well. This is a development that's got about 10,000 people living there at the moment, as you can kind of see on the satellite imagery, with the potential to build out to 40,000 residents. So it'd be a key stop for, gaining ridership for people commuting down to Sacramento. The location is perfect in terms of it's on a straight tangent for the track. There's a connection across to the east to the Toyota Amphitheater, and also I think there's a casino over there. And also the location there has potential for like a kind of a TOD development too, which should be kind of neat. So yeah, those are the potential station locations that we're looking at, and those are going to feed into that modeling analysis that Caltrans and Union Pacific Railroad are going to do. And then I'll just touch briefly on the layover facility. Because Chico and Oroville will be the end of the line, we need somewhere for the trains to sort of spend the night, have a sleepover. And so what makes it tricky with the downtown station location is you want the layover facility to be north of the passenger rail station. And so the closest location, if we were to go with the Amtrak station in downtown Chico, would be way up here. And it's just kind of a long distance. We're not sure how well that's going to actually work out. So with the Barber Yard, like I mentioned earlier, you could have that labor facility on site. There's sort of a separate track the train could pull off on and literally just, I think, stay in front of the station overnight. And in the morning, it's there ready to roll. So that's kind of what we're looking at for the Chico line. And then for Oroville, it works really well there as well. We can basically run a parallel track off the main line that will go to the station, and the train can just stay on that overnight and won't affect freight traffic and things like that. So yeah, that's it sort of for the initial planning assumptions. Just touching quickly on the public outreach. It's always key on these kind of projects. We're anticipating 2 rounds of public outreach, one this coming summer and another in the fall. So sort of stay tuned for that. If you're interested, we're going to have some surveys we're going to do as well. And then we also have our project website, which has information. I can share that in a minute. And then in terms of next steps, I mentioned Caltrans is running the modeling. We expect them to be done in about a month. And then their kind of outputs are going to go over to Union Pacific. They've agreed to work with us and do the capacity analysis, which is going to happen, I think, June and July. So it should be done sometime kind of late July. And then be moving forward with the rest of the scope. But also wanted to mention here that we are looking at doing some additional planning and design work to accelerate the overall project timeline. I'm reviewing these services as going into implementation around 2029, 2030. And in order to stay on that schedule or even accelerate it, we are looking at trying to begin work as soon as possible on the required project study report and also the EIR, EIS. And so we're getting some cost estimates on that. And also, we can begin our lobbying efforts to seek project funding and that sort of thing. So I guess that's all I had. So sorry for all the detail there. But usually we have our consultant engineers go over some of those slides. So if I didn't describe things perfectly, it's because I'm a planner and not an engineer, but I gave it my best shot. So hope that worked.
Great job, Chris. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
very, very impressive.
I thought it was a
And,
good presentation. I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Chris. I thought that was a good presentation. I just wanted to let you know that when you do the public outreach this summer in 2022, the Barber Yard community is pretty active. Just wanted to let you know. I don't know how they're gonna, I have a feeling their take on this is gonna be they're not happy with the location being in Barber Yard because of all the traffic coming through Barber Yard to the train station.
Yeah. Thanks for the heads up on that. That's
Yeah.
seems logical that there would be people that would not be happy about that. So yeah, we'll be prepared for that. We'll coordinate with you guys too, and anyone with the development that we need to sort of see how we might be able to mitigate some of that.
Yeah, so there, I think having all your bullet points together of why we're considering both locations, the real complexity with downtown and everything, so they can understand that, hey, we're not just trying to move the train into a suburb area and then divert all the traffic from downtown into Barber Yard. It's downtown's not going to work.
Yeah.
Or may not work. May not work.
Yeah.
I still think if there's a way, when you're talking to UP though, if there's a way you can make downtown work, maybe instead of going past the station to store the trains or whatever, if you could store them at the Barber Yard area and you still use downtown, I still think that's the preferred option, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. That's good input. I appreciate that. And yeah, well, as we get closer to getting into that stuff, we'll be coordinating with you guys. So yeah, I agree. I mean, the downtown Amtrak location is kind of ideal in terms of geographic location. And our engineers at AECOM did mention that it may be possible to have them lay over at Barber Yard. So that may be a viable option. So.
And regarding the train blocking the roadways, we have, I mean, I worked in San Diego for 20 years. We had trains blocking intersections, the trolley on streets down. You just learn how to get around it.
Yeah.
So I personally don't think it's that big. It's that big of a deal if we have trains blocking certain streets downtown, if there's a way to get around it.
Okay. Yeah. Good to know.
That's part of having a trolley or a train. They're going to block streets.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Overcrossing, pedestrian overcrossing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, we'll coordinate with you on that moving forward. So thanks for that input. It's good to get kind of an update on what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah. I haven't.
Some of you.
Sorry, we have kind of a change in city management going on right now. And so I haven't had a, when the new city manager comes on board, I'll brief him on this and get their, see if he wants to talk with the elected officials about it too and get any input they might have on it.
Okay. Yeah, let us know if it'd be helpful for us to be involved in any meetings or anything. We'd be happy to come and attend anything like that.
Probably should do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she has the 20th Street.
I will make a note.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Some of you are already on Chris's email distribution list for notification of updates to this project. If you're not and you want to be included, send us an email and we will add you to his list. Good. All right, thank you, Chris. Great presentation. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Can you guys see the agenda item number 4 on your screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. Moving on to agenda item number 4 is amendment number 6 to the 2021 Federal Transportation Improvement Program. BCAG has received a request from Caltrans and the Town of Paradise to amend the 2021 FTIP for various projects. Of interest to the committee is the Town of Paradise is requesting an additional $100,000 in congestion mitigation and air quality funds for their Oliver Curve project. To sum it up, BCAG programmed, I forget the exact dollar amount, originally for preliminary engineering. Do you remember, Mark? Was it 150,000 or something? 100?
I have it 1 second. I just give me 1 second. Keep going. I have the original amount.
It was about that for preliminary engineering, and as many of you know, BCAG's strategy for using its limited CMAQ funds is to spread it around on CMAQ-worthy projects with the goal of you all applying for active transportation program funds. And for the region, it's worked out quite successfully. We have a very strong track record of securing ATP funds where the big funds are. During that process, the town applied for an ATP cycle 5 or 4, I forget.
Both.
And didn't score as well. But it was during that review process with headquarters, it was recommended that they expand the scope and the project limits to connect to Billy Park in the Town of Paradise. So when you look at it on a map, the project starts at Skyway, and instead of going just around Olive Curve, it would extend to Billy Road and Hagen Left and actually connect to the destination. So that makes sense. It makes sense. And so the Town of Paradise is asking to move its original commitment of CMAQ funds that were in right-of-way, move those to preliminary engineering, but also to add another 100,000 in CMAQ funds, and that'll get them to 100% for preliminary engineering and apply for cycle 6 and be in a better position to be more competitive. Did I miss anything, Mark?
No, you got it, Yvonne. The original amount was 330,000 for the project. And so just like Yvonne said, the additional 100 gets us fully funded for PE with the expanded scope to tie into Billy Park. This was a pre-fire CMAQ allocation, and we appreciate BCAG and the region standing behind Paradise, obviously with the reduction in vehicular traffic. But this project is still a critical priority for the community. We are preparing to resubmit an ATP Cycle 6. And then we're also including it in our request for CDBG DR infrastructure funds as well, as we're building this network of multi-use pathways that could double as evacuation routes. So appreciate the region continuing to stand behind the project and the town for these CMAQ funds, and appreciate the consideration for this request as well.
Thanks. And staff will be carrying that recommendation to the BCAG board. This is an action item. Let me just get through these other projects. BCAG did receive notification of the Highway Bridge Program, the group listing. In particular, there's county and city bridge projects up there. It's just a financial update. Same thing with the individually listed projects. Those are capacity increasing projects, and this particular one is a financial change for the city of Chico's Gwin Bridge. No big deal there. Update to the Highway Safety Improvement Program list, another financial change. Updates to the Caltrans State Minor Program as well. But also, my apologies, and there are two other Caltrans shop rehab projects that have been added since the preparation of this agenda. And I've included it at the end under other items just to share with you all a summary of this amendment. In addition, the BCAG has received a request without a specific dollar amount from the city of Chico for their Esplanade Corridor Safety and Accessibility Improvement Project. Right now, in the same situation with the town of Paradise, BCAG did put CMAQ funds for preliminary engineering. As a result of that PE process and the complexity of that project, there's a funding shortfall. If I'm not mistaken, the shortfall is about 1.3 million, and that exceeds any capacity we have. To what level we can entertain a cost increase at this point, I don't know for sure. I am looking at the entire CMAQ program and the rest of the local projects to see what we're able to do. Of particular interest is because the city has committed, they have an ATP commitment of 7.2 million. And as it stands right now, the current cost estimates are nearly 12 million. This particular project will come back to the TAC to see what we can do, because the town of Paradise, in the review of their projects, they're likely going to have cost increases on their other preliminary engineering CMAQ funded projects as well. Mark, Leanne, did I get that right?
Yeah, I think
So
we're, just to firm it up a little more, I think we're asking for 650,000 in additional in CMAQ.
Okay, yeah. So that's something that I really need to take a close look at all of the projects just to see what we're able to do. It's you know, that is a significant project of value to BCAG. You know, the Esplanade connects Chico High, Chico Junior, Chico State, major north-south. So that's a big corridor where we really could make a difference towards, you know, working towards our sustainable community strategy goals. So anyway, so I am working on it.
Thank you.
Was there any comments or questions? Does anybody want to add anything? Staff will be recommending to the BCAG Board of Directors to approve. This is a formal amendment because this is a scope change for the town of Paradise. The other projects really fall into the administrative modification authority that BCAG has, but we do not for the big scope change and cost increase. Staff is requesting committee support of this recommendation to the BCAG board at the May 26th board meeting. I need a motion. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second? Now would be a good time, Mark.
Well, I have a problem with self-voting for my own request, but of course I would second, but I would appreciate if there was support from someone else. Thanks, Don. Okay.
Okay, who said second?
Don,
Okay, thank you, Don. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, all those in favor, just say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, look at that. Unanimous support. I love that regional cooperation. Moving on to agenda item number 5 is for information is the status of obligations for the 21-22 fiscal year. Each year, BCAG is required to prepare an obligation plan to make sure we're making good on project delivery. Typically, when we get a federal obligation, the funds are available the year they're made available, plus really 3 years, but it's really a total of 3 because it gives you that 4th year to move funds around. It's something that we provide or I provide to local assistants, and it enables them to plan staff resources accordingly. And then it tells Caltrans headquarters which projects are coming through the pipeline. So, for example, I'll be including the FTIP amendment number 6 previously presented with the moving of Mark's project, old right-of-way funds to preliminary engineering. That's going to get reported so that Caltrans has a heads up of what's coming down the pipeline. As part of the agenda item, I did include what's currently identified absent the amendment. And I don't need a response right now, but you all can take a look at your own projects. Louis, if you could reach out to Raymond on the bridge projects. Let me see, do you have any? It's just a win for Chico. Yeah, there's group projects. If you have a project in there and it's going to get obligated, please let me know. So even though, let me back up. Even though we're in the 21-22 fiscal year, right now is the opportunity, if you do have a project in the outer year, these projects here, it is your opportunity to advance if you are ready. And that's something, especially when everybody's asking for more money. If there's an opportunity, Dave, well, you got local funds for your Gridley project. But if there's something out here, an HSIP project, Caltrans is really looking at the statewide list in its entirety. And being early May, the doors open, first come, first serve. Even though, Mark, right here we see 7.9 million, that's really a placeholder for your grant. If you do get it, it facilitates the amendment process.
Yep, that's correct.
Oliver Curve. So that's it for that. So please take a look at the list, and if you're planning to obligate funds, and that means getting your E76, your request for authorization to Jim Day or Angel at Caltrans Local Assistance, please let me know. And it would be from now, if you don't have it, until the end of the federal fiscal year. Good?
Yep.
All right. Any questions? Moving on to agenda item number 6. This is the exact same agenda item presented last month. Again, another reminder, ATP Cycle 6 project applications are due June 15th. I'm not going to go through this again, But really, it's just to give us a roundtable discussion opportunity. I do want to hear what you intend to apply for.
Sure, I'll go first, Yvonne, if you're ready.
I am.
Okay, so the Town of Paradise is planning on submitting 5 applications, 4 of which are resubmittals, and 3 of those 4 are the 3 that are front-loaded with CMAQ. So we've got the Oliver Curve project, which we just discussed. We've got a Neal Road Class 1 bike path project that goes from town limits to Skyway. We're resubmitting our Pence Road Phase 2 project, which is the Class 1 facility on the west side of Pence from Skyway to Pearson. And then our Skyway connectivity project, which is between Billy and Wagstaff, that adds sidewalks and bike lanes in that area. And then our 5th new project as a result of our transportation master plan and our freshly adopted or soon to be adopted active transportation plan next week. It includes a connection between Oliver Road and the existing trailway in Paradise through some park property as well. So between those 5 projects, we're going to have, I think, 3 larges and 2 mediums as far as the breakdown of those project categories. But really excited with our transportation master plan. We really redid everything to check all the boxes for public outreach and engagement and equitable outreach for that. So looking forward to submitting the projects by June 15th and really hopeful that we can have better and consistent scoring by the program this year versus last cycle.
All right. Anybody else applying for anything?
Yes,
Just checking.
Butte County is reapplying for Autry Lane, Monte Vista, Lower Wyandotte bike lanes and some curb gutter sidewalk.
Okay.
So that's that joint project, Yvonne, that we're combining during construction.
Okay.
Yvonne, Public Health is applying for a full MI grant.
I'm sorry, Eunice,
sorry.
you're breaking up.
Public Health is applying as well for non-infrastructure.
So Yvonne, we're including them in our non-infrastructure portion of that application.
Okay, good to know. All right, just an information item, primarily for me, just to know what's coming down the road. Let me see. Chris presented. Agenda item number 8, Caltrans District 3 updates and everything you gave me.
Okay.
I put it right there.
Okay, so, all right, here we go. Hi, everyone. So the majority of the projects that are in FADs right now currently are for Butte County. And so this is the status that I had as of April 27th. And so there's still some work going on with some of these, and you're probably working with Robert Brown or Vlad on the bridge projects and Adam Belanger on the 2 ER projects, emergency relief projects. So I'll stop there with the feds, but what Yvonne is talking about with this last gasp for the rest of this federal fiscal year, we will stop accepting authorization requests to put into the federal system probably around the middle of July. This is typical because we stop doing that so we can look at a redistribution of funds between the districts, so that way we can spend all of the money. We can spend all of the money that was allocated for federal for this year. So if you want to come in for something for the rest of this federal fiscal year through September 30, you really need to get it to one of our staff about mid-July, no later than mid-July. August, it may be too late, but we will deal with them on a case-by-case basis because there's always going to be something right at the last minute where we'll be doing something even as far out as September. So please stay in contact with Angel or the bridge folks or the emergency relief folks if you have to get something in before the end of the year. And let me go on, switch over to the state side. The state side, the CTC calendar, I've got 1 time extension request in for Butte County, 5912-117, and that was expected. That'll be in the June meeting. I'm going to give you a copy. This is the calendar. The June meeting right now is where we're accepting. This week, we're accepting the allocation requests or timely use of funds, time extension requests. For the next meeting in August, we'll start accepting that information from you, those allocation requests or time extension requests after June 20th. And
After or by?
well, we need it in our office June 20th, but we have a week to work on that. So we will, there's a little bit of slide there, or fudge factor, where we'll allow you to do it on the 21st or the 22nd and work with Angel or myself and to make sure we have all of the documents to make the proper allocation request. May is typically the month when we will send out a request from you for an updated Exhibit 9B for the Disadvantaged Business Program. And along with that, we're going to have to get your Americans with Disabilities Act program 9C. That's an update. These are both just update documents, really. Very few pages involved, but you should have background information to take care of that. All of you have 9As, I believe. And so the 9A, which is the initial implementation agreement between the state and your local agency for DBE. So that's not really an issue. That's really great. So if you need a 9B, the 9B and the 9C are linked to this handout, so you can see that. I'm not going to beat up active transportation any further. Yvonne's done a great job of that. The Highway Safety Improvement Program, they will be announcing the Highway Safety Improvement Program Cycle 11 call for applications next Monday, May 9th. And we will have, the thing that we were concerned with was guardrail. They will have a set aside for guardrails, but there's only 12 million involved. So that means there's only about 12 agencies that are going to get guardrails because you can only get up to $1 million. If some of them are for less, then they'll be spreading it around a little further. But that is the only one that is really tightly controlled.
Is there a typical dollar amount that agencies go in for guardrail?
$1 million. Terry Edwards can tell you that. So can Mark. I think Mark too.
Yep.
All right. So the next thing I have to concern myself with is the project end dates. This is where it's actually by phase, and it's only typically for federal projects. These are all CMAQ, bridge, and emergency relief projects. And so you need to work with us to try and change those project end dates because accounting will not pay for work that is done. They will not reimburse anything that was done after that PED date has expired. So each of these agencies need to have a look at their information and get with, as far as Biggs in Butte County, well, Biggs anyway, that would be me or Angel. The bridge program would be Robert or Vlad, and Paradise would be Adam Belancher to try and change those. So please stay on top of the PED date when you're dealing with federal funds.
Yeah, hey Jim, just clarification for our two projects. Those are ER projects that were under emergency opening, and these are being closed out. So I don't think we're going to need an extension on our PED.
All right, that's the nice thing, and I'm glad you brought that up. So if you have a PED date such as that, or let's look at Biggs. They have one from April of 21. Well, if they're closing out their project, you have 6 months to close out your project and give us that final invoice. And anything done prior to 4/30/21 is eligible for that final invoice. Anything after is not. So what Mark is doing, Mark's going to run out in August 31st. You've got till the end of the year to get us that invoice, and any costs, reimbursable costs that are eligible under ER, August 31st, 22 and before, they're eligible and they'll be paid. Okay, so you can let your PED date run out if you're at final and you have no billable costs after that PED date runs out. Just send us the invoice and let's roll with it. So I'll move on from there. This is the inactive list, and Oroville, I got to say, I did your invoice yesterday. So Oroville, you're off the list. So Butte County and Paradise, you need to work with Adam Belanger, please, to get yourselves to address this project, the ER projects.
Yeah, Jim,
Okay.
those are the same two projects for us that were closed, and I think all the final invoices have been submitted. So
they'll take care of the inactivity, correct?
Okay,
That's great. Now, we've
Jim,
got
we've
some new,
submitted our- Jim, those two
Go
for
ahead.
Butte County have been submitted.
okay, thank you.
Good to know.
All right, they'll be off next month. When Angel does this, they'll all be off that list. The one thing I want to point out with training, all of these are our regular classes, the federal aid, environmental, right-of-way, design, and labor compliance. But the very last one, positioning for successful grant applications. Right now, you're in the middle of ATP and beginning HSIP. Have a look at that class and see what kind of information you can glean from that that'll help you with the current ATP cycle and the HSIP cycle if you're going to go in there. This is the first time this has been offered, and it may help you with community planning grants through our planning office. Okay, so it's not just for local assistance. It could be the other grants that we offer from the other divisions.
Who's hosting that?
I don't know. I've not delved into this before. So I'll be registered and I'll be interested, and I hope Angel will be as well. And that's the end of my presentation. And so the very last item, Angel is taking over for me for Butte County and all the agencies within Butte. He'll also be doing the HSIP program. So we do a lot of HSIPs here in this area. So he'll be the best man to be doing that. And Angel is not new. He's new to you, but he's been working in Yuba and Yolo and Sutter counties, and they've been very busy and had some pretty difficult projects just like yours. So he's up to the task. He's definitely got it to be able to support you in everything that you'll possibly need. And we can stop sharing that now. No? Okay, I'll let you roll with it. Thank you. Is there any questions for me?
Hey, Jim. This was just a summary of that FTIP amendment that I'll send it to you all with Mark, with your project here, what I have to prepare, your Pence Road, your ATP, moving the right-of-ways to PE. Leanne, your Gwynn Road over Lindo Channel Bridge is in here for just a financial move. Net zero change. HPP was updated, HSIP, shop minor, and these were the two projects that I added on behalf of Caltrans. So, and I'm presenting this, I normally don't, but you know, just to hammer down, what we're required to do is show which performance metrics we're hitting and the CAPTI or the California Transportation Plan goals. Everything's about performance measures and metrics. Anyway, that is all I have. Any questions? Any agenda topics for future meeting consideration? There's something
I've got a couple of things. One, I know Brian's not on the line today, but is there an update from BCAG about the traffic count data collection? Is that still on track for us in Paradise? We're hearing a lot of people asking for that kind of data. And so I'm trying to balance the need of when you guys are doing it and perhaps just investing in ourselves for the purposes of economic development. And then two, I think Chris jumped off, but we're just curious if there's any update on the Paradise Transit Center. And then three, I wanted to talk with Terry about the traffic control expectations for Skyway between Chico and Paradise, and just make sure we're on the same page and doing some messaging, consistent messaging between the communities, including Chico, as we want to make sure we're getting good information about for what people should expect.
Okay. Is anybody else interested on the traffic count data? Just Mark? Oh, you are? Don? Well, because I could walk over and go ask Brian right now if you want to hold on. The transit center, Mark, Andy's the project manager for that, and he is out today. So
Okay.
I'll follow up.
Yeah, sorry about that. I meant Andy, not Chris. Yeah.
Yeah. The traffic control, Terry's still on.
Yeah, I can connect with Terry, but I just thought, well, Chico, everyone's here. It'd be great if Terry could speak to what we should expect. I heard a rumor about 20-minute delays, and I don't think that's true, but
There could be delays if they're moving equipment and have to close a lane. Right now, they're anticipating just taking one lane and leaving that traffic control up 24 hours a day and having somebody maintain the traffic control through the night and through the weekends. And right now they're planning on doing grinding operations and paving operations from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And they're just gonna work their way up one lane and then turn around and come back down the other lane and just flop traffic over from one lane to the other.
Great.
But there could be some pretty lengthy delays if they have to close down to move stuff around. So that's
Sounds like that'll be the exception though, right?
correct. Yes, that'll be the exception. We just wanted people to not freak out if they do have to move stuff around and actually close it down for a bit.
Yep. Perfect. Thanks, Louis.
Sure.
Ryan is in another meeting right now. So I will send out an email in regards to traffic count data. And I will follow up with John just to see if he has an update for you as well. Anyway, that is,
Thanks, Yvonne.
anything else? Anything else?
Yeah, I had just a quick item, Jason with B County Air Quality. As far as our grants go, we had a solicitation earlier this year, did a bunch of tractors, electric tractors now, which is kind of cool. But we still have about 30 to 40,000 just sitting around now unclaimed for battery charging infrastructure. So if there's any plans that you know of for battery charging infrastructure that needs some co-funding, we have it. It's kind of first come, first serve right now. If we get oversubscribed, we can rank based on charging events. But at this time, if any jurisdictions need money for any new charging infrastructure, just let me know.
Oh,
Put them at park and rides.
yeah. There, 30 to 40,000 total?
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate it. All right, that is a wrap. Thank you all.
Thank
all.
you, Yvonne. Bye,
This will
everybody.
be, this has been
Right.
recorded and we'll post it somewhere on our website. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Hey, Joel.